Yeah, for those that aren't familiar, maybe with how you got into football to begin with and kind of your high school career transitioning into a collegiate career as well.
Sure. Well, the very first experience with football was small fry, and I had an uncle, Dennis Pedic, that actually had to convince my dad to let me go out for football. So my dad was a little bit worried that we were all going to get hurt. So I guess I have Dennis Pedic to thank, a family friend. And then throughout high school, I always wanted to play college football. And as I got into looking around for schools, Western was a school that recruited me probably the most. And I had quite a few friends going down there, and I liked to hunt and fish, so it fit, and was going to be a high school history teacher and football coach until Coach Beers actually got a hold of me, started making me go to quarterback meetings. I think part of that was to babysit Jason Truman, who was an unbelievable player, not always the most studious of characters, so I had to follow him around to class a little bit, as well as to quarterback meetings. So I kind of got the bug there, and Coach Beers said, you need to come because you'll bring him as well as you're going to coach college football. And that was kind of the first time I'd ever even thought about it. So Coach Beers is kind of the one that steered me in that direction. And like I said, and I've said before, he's a great influence on me as a player and to this day.
With you coaches, I picture like Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting staring at a chalkboard, but for you guys, it's staring at the screen and seeing like the X's and O's pieced together. I'm sure that's not completely accurate, but when did that start to really piece itself together for you, realizing like, oh, I could kind of do some things here?
Well, it was fun because, and that's one of the things that Coach Beers was great at, is he always included us to the why. And so as a player, you start to see not only your job, but okay, how we're going to start to manipulate the other guys. This is going to be their adjustment. And that was one of the funnest things for me. And so the only reason I stayed on the field was because I could stay on the same page with Coach Beers, and wasn't the most talented guy out there, but had that opportunity and that gift that Coach Beers gave me to actually see a couple plays down the line. And so that was the fun part for me too when I was coaching, is okay, this is what they're going to do, and you tell a player what's going to happen, and then when it does happen, the look on their face like, how did you know that? And that's the same way I looked at Coach Beers. So that was really a fun part of it for me, for sure.
Carroll, phone call, email, I mean, was this like horse and buggy to get you this message to, hey, we want you to come here and join this staff and keep the Fighting Saints relevant and going?
It was funny. I actually came to Carroll because I ran into Coach Van Diest, and the guy that I was working for, Nels Clute at Western, he retired, and so I had actually called Coach Van Diest and asked him to be a reference for me for a couple other jobs. He said sure, and he asked for the phone numbers, and then he said, hey, are you going to be in Helena? And I think it was divisional track. And so I said, yeah, I'm going to be in town. He said, well, swing by or catch me at the track. I called him. He said, come by the office on Monday, and I never left. So I was there for 20 years, and it was a great time.
2 decades is a long time at one spot, but 2 decades is a long time in anything.
Yes.
Just kind of talk about these years and what kept the big three of you guys just coming back year after year after year.
Well, I think we talked about a little bit, the loyalty to Coach Van Diest. Obviously, he gave me a tremendous opportunity. The loyalty to the program as well as the players. And it was, honesty is a big thing for me. And when sitting in a prospective athlete's home telling his mom and dad, yeah, I'm going to be here, I truly meant it and held true to it as much as I could.
Was there a surprise in you guys as a staff that, man, that success came quick?
Yeah, to be honest, I really thought when I first came to Carroll and knowing Coach Van Diest's reputation, I truly thought it would be about a 3 or 4 year reign, and then we would move on. But when things started to flow, it was like, we don't need to go anywhere else. This is pretty neat, and this is special. We've got a special group of players, and their families are pretty special. And so it was, we hoped it would never truly end. And so when the phone calls came and people reached out, I often ask myself, is it better than what I have here? The paycheck may have been bigger, and the stage may have been a little bit bigger, but the actual football and the kids and the guys you get to hang out with every day, I don't think it was better anywhere.
What was it like walking onto that national championship field the first time? You guys got used to it after a while. I think the fans got used to it. I think spoiled maybe is a little bit of an adjective that people would use to describe it because it happened so often. But that first time.
Yeah, the first time, and I can remember being in pregame. I can remember being at the stadium thinking, this is pretty amazing. And then when you ultimately, as the game progresses, we've got a chance to win this thing, and okay, we are going to win this thing. It was a pretty incredible feeling. And to do it the way we did it, in the Rob Luttrell story that everybody knows well, but didn't start until, you know, the semifinal game, was unbelievable. But that's a tribute to Rob and how much his teammates meant to him. And, you know, and obviously there was other people besides Rob. You know, you're still throwing it to Gallick and Fitzy and those guys. But that was a pretty special day.
A lot of those big names that fans know, the Emmerts, the Fitzsimmons. We talked about National Players of the Year on each side of the ball, which is incredible. But there was a lot of unsung heroes over a 2-decade period as well that certainly played their part in national championships, Frontier Conference championships.
Sure. One of my favorite, probably unsung heroes, or a guy that's never going to get the credit he deserves, was DJ Dearcorn. He was a guy that did everything for us. I remember one game, Case Fitzsimmons didn't play, and walked up to DJ and said, "Hey, you're going to play tight end this week." Okay. He had 12 catches, I think, that day. And the next week went back to playing running back. He made the line calls one week because Kyle Baker had a cold and couldn't talk. And then, you know, Kyle Baker coughed something up in pregame, and DJ didn't have to make the calls, but DJ could do it all. He could have, and DJ could have played on the defensive side, probably 3 positions over there. We were fortunate enough to arm wrestle him away from Coach Van Diest, much like Casey Fitzsimmons and probably Mark Gallick. But those guys are, you know, incredible. The Lat Whipplingers, you know, the Kip Curtises that did so much as total players, you know, blocking and things that don't show up in stat sheets, especially for wide receivers. You know, even little Corey Peterson got a touchdown block in a national championship game to spring Gary Wagner. So the list of names and the guys that did everything that we ever asked for is unbelievable, and that's part of what made it so special and part of why you wanted to stay around.
As far as just looking back, when you sit back and think 200-plus wins, 6 national championships, some appearances in national championships, all the Frontier Conference championships in a row, a dozen or whatever it was for the streak. In your wildest dreams, I mean, was this feasible?
No, and I said this a couple weeks ago too, is I don't think it'll ever be duplicated at any level. And was a tremendous run, and you know, again, that's part of why, and you mentioned it earlier too, winning is contagious and it keeps you around. And it opened a lot of other doors, but that specialness that we had with, you know, and it was, like you said, year after year, 12 years in a row, unbelievable. And it was truly special, and like I said, I don't think it'll ever be done again.
We know about Nick Howlett, the player, now a little bit more. We know about the coach. Your family, though, pretty good athletes in their own rights. Sandy, I believe it was soccer, right? Yep. And we know that Brooke is killing gymnastics. So, I mean, that's pretty exciting as well to sit back and kind of, back then, being a fan for Sandy, and then now just watching Brooke just really taking names.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, and part of this transition, I got to see every gymnastics meet she had, and that was pretty special. And you know, just being around a lot more has been pretty neat. And you know, I don't mind being third fiddle in the house.
20 years, a lot of people to thank as well that have had your guys' back and support and everything like that. I mean, what do you say to those people that, you know, if there was ever anything, it was a call away for you?
Right. Well, and that's the thing, and that's what was so great and has been so great, and the people that have reached out to me via email or text, it's just a big thank you to everybody, the parents, the players especially, and those relationships that are lifelong.
Anything about what you're doing now?
Yeah, you know, it's been kind of a neat transition, and it's like being a freshman football player again. You have no idea what's going on, and there's a whole bunch of, you know, there's 21 other players out there that you're like going different directions, but it's been fun. And Corey Crum and Guy Almquist and Jana Garza, those guys have been great to me, and so it's an exciting transition because you do have that excitement of being a freshman again. A lot to learn every day. It's wow, you're starting at ground zero again, but they're great people, and I'm really excited about the future.